Welcome back to Inside College Basketball Now with Jon Rothstein. Pleased to be joined by NC State head coach Will Wade. And Will, welcome. It is the 15-year anniversary of the VCU team that went to the Final Four when you were an assistant coach. What do you remember most about that run?
Well, we made a bunch of threes, which certainly helped. So, yeah, they just celebrated the anniversary this past Tuesday at one of the games, and so we were busy playing, but it was cool. I got to send in a video, but just remember how much it meant to the university, the community. I'll never forget the bus ride to the airport when we went to the Final Four. Just the interstated stop, people were hanging over overpasses, and so it was wild, but it's a fun ride. We made a bunch of threes. We had a lot of fun, and it was certainly changed a lot of our careers. For without that run, a lot of us wouldn't be head coaches. There's a lot of us on that staff that are current head coaches, and so we owe a lot to that run for sure.
Well, when you got together as a staff, when you first made the NCAA tournament on Selection Sunday, what did you think was realistic expectations for that group in March Madness?
I'll never forget UAB flashed on the screen before us, and we had lost at UAB earlier that year. And
Right.
I remember sitting there thinking, that game ended up costing us an NCAA tournament bid, and then we dogpiled in the hallway after we got in. I mean, we weren't even really we were there waiting for the NIT bid,
Right.
and we got in. So, we turned around and played Southern Cal pretty quickly. I think we were happy to get out of Dayton and get to Chicago. I think anything after that was going to be bonus. But just winning the first four game was really really cool, and then it just built from there.
Now, how did the feeling for you of going through that run to the Final Four as an assistant coach compare to being a head coach last year when you led McNeese to an NCAA tournament win over Clemson?
I don't know if anything will compare to the win with McNeese. It would take a lot of a huge game in the NCAA tournament to compare to that, just because of what it meant. It was 2 years of building and what that
Yeah.
community had meant to me and my family, and just to be able to feel like that we were able to repay the community a little bit, to repay their belief in us, and it's very rare in today's world that you get to do something that's the first time in history. It was the first time in the history of the school that they had won an NCAA tournament game, and so it was one of the best feelings of my professional career, and just an incredible moment, and something that hopefully those folks down there will remember fondly for a long time. But just one of those deals that you really can't put into words, and certainly probably my favorite moment as a head coach.
Well, we're getting ready to flip the calendar here to March here in a couple days. Not that anybody's counting, but it is the time of year where college basketball is in the spotlight. And last year at McNeese, you were obviously a big part of the story in the NCAA tournament. You were in the story, obviously, at LSU. You went, I remember, in 2021 to the second round and pushed a good Michigan team. You beat St. Bonaventure that year. We touched on what you did at VCU as a head coach. You won a game in the NCAA tournament. But there was a year in between LSU and McNeese where you were not in college coaching. What was it like for Will Wade that March to watch March Madness and not be a part of a team or the event?
It's a very humbling experience. It makes you a lot more appreciative. Even being in a one bid league, I mean, you understand how difficult it is to make the tournament.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. It's really really challenging. I think it just gives you greater appreciation for how tough it is and how difficult it is. And certainly sitting out, it was no fun. You don't have the stress either, but you enjoy the stress. It's a good type stress. It's a good type anxiety, and it's a lot of fun. It's 2 or 3 weeks of the year where the whole world's watching college basketball, and so it's a cool experience just to be a small part of it.
And you're going to be a part of it again this year at
We
NC
hope.
State.
We
You
hope.
hope. I know you got to obviously, there's still obviously some time left, but you're on track to be a part of it this year at NC State. What is it like being a head coach at the power conference level now this season at NC State versus your last year at LSU?
It's a lot of the similarities. But it's a great honor to represent NC State. It's a great honor to try to get this program, this team, to the NCAA tournament. And so it's a fun time. It's an exciting time of the year because once you get in, anything can happen. We talked about the VCU. Anything can happen. It's about the matchups and where things land and who's playing well and who's hot. And I like our NC State team. We shoot the ball really, really well. And so, look, I mean, that cuts both ways. We could have a night where we don't shoot it very well,
Oh,
and we're packing our bags. But we've also, gives us a chance to maybe punch above our weight class a little bit when we do shoot it really well. So, look, I'm excited about getting NC State back on the national radar, hopefully, and back on a national scale at the NCAA tournament. And so, look, this is just a starting point for us right now, and so we've got a lot of work to do. We want to build this into a program where we're on the we're on the seeding show. We're a top four seed.
yep.
We're not there yet, but this is certainly a strong foundation and something that we can build off of moving forward.
What's the biggest difference between being a head coach in the ACC versus being a head coach in the SEC?
Well, let me give you. I'm not going to answer that as honestly as I would like, but I'm biting my tongue a little bit. But look, I think that the ACC there's a incredible value on valuing the basketball.
Hmm.
The athleticism in the SEC is off the charts. The skill in the ACC is off the charts.
Right.
And so I think that we learned some things building our team this year in the league. I went a little bit too much on the skill and that. I need a little bit more on the other side of the coin because we had
Right.
done the study on what works in the ACC and we went a little bit too far. I think you've got to be a little bit different. You can't just build like everybody else does. And so
Right.
I think that's important for us as we move forward, understanding that we need to have a little bit more of a mix, a little bit
Hmm.
better mixture of players, and that's no. I mean, look, we've got a solid team this year, a good team this year. This team's built to be successful within the ACC, and we've done that on a relative sense. But like I said, this is not the standard that we want to be at. It's better than we've been or better than we were, but it's not where we want to be, and so we've got a lot of work. We got a lot of work to do, but it's certainly been an adjustment, getting to the ACC, seeing the different venues, seeing the different teams, seeing how the game's called, seeing how things operate. And so it's been eye-opening for me, but we've got to take those lessons, learn from them, and be ready to move forward and build something bigger and better as we move along.
There's such a thirst and such an appetite from NC State's fan base to be a winner. What has it been like for you balancing that with also Duke and North Carolina in the triangle?
Look, our fans are awesome. We try to focus on NC State, and we've got to make NC State the best that we can be, and we've got unbelievably passionate fans. And look, they are dying, starving. They want to win every bit as bad as I do, and more than I do in some respects. But I mean, look, we're all in it together, and it pains me when we lose for our fans because they're invested and they're with us. And look, I know it hurts them, but that's because they're invested and they care. And so that's really really important that we've got some of the best fans in the country. If we've sold out five home games. If you were in the arena for our last home game, I mean, you could just feel it in there. I mean, these
Yep.
people are just chomping at the bit to win, and that's how we are. That's how our program is. I wish we could have delivered even more for them this year, but like I said, this is a learning experience. This is a good starting off point for us, and we're not going to be in this position moving forward. We're going to be in better position than this, moving forward here at NC State, and our fans deserve that. We've got as good a fan base as there is in college basketball, as passionate of a fan base as there is in college basketball. And our fans deserve a big time winner, and that's what we're on the course to deliver for them.
19-8 right now after 27 games. How have you been so effective in year one in the ACC?
Well, we've dropped some that we shouldn't have, and I wish we were. Like I was saying, I wish we were more effective. Our folks deserve a little bit more than we've given them. But look, it's better than we've been. And so I'm not downgrading what we've done. But I think all of us expected a little bit more. And so look, we need to finish this season out as strong as we can. We've got a lot of opportunity ahead of us here, and the final chapter hadn't been written. You go to the movie, you don't really remember the beginning or the middle. You remember the ending to the
No
movie. I
doubt.
know you have great movie references, but you remember
Absolutely.
the ending. So we want to make
Yeah.
this ending memorable for this team, for our fans, and for our program. And so it's all about right now sprinting through the finish line, doing everything we can to finish this season as strongly as we can. But we've got a good group. We've got some guys coming on. Our freshman Matt Abel, he's been playing great. He's really coming on. That's been a huge value add. Darrion Williams has shown, he is a closer. I was joking with him about Mariano Rivera. Like, he's a closer. He closed really well for Texas Tech. The last couple years, he did the same thing at Nevada his freshman year. We expect him to do the same thing for us here, and he showed some great signs of that in our last game before getting injured. And so we've got some guys. Copeland's playing really well, and McNeil's been shooting it well. And we've got Terrence Arsenault's really coming on. He's bringing us a lift. Defensively, Holloman's got experience. Ven's got experience. So we've got a lot of guys. Musa's shown some moments, especially defensively. So we've got a lot of guys. Alan Breed's back healthy. So we've got guys that we're coming together here at the right time. And so I think we've got a real chance to sprint through this finish line as long as we stay connected, stay tight, and stay moving in the same direction.
You mentioned Darrion Williams, and you took the words right out of my mouth. Last year in March during the NCAA tournament, he was one of the best players in the sport, and we've seen him mirror that in spurts this year, but it hasn't always been consistent. Even if NC State wins a national championship, you are only going to have 6 more weeks with Darrion Williams. How do you relate to him as a coach that the hourglass is running out on his college career and the time to wring out the sponges right now?
No, we actually have had that conversation. We had that conversation a couple weeks ago. Well, right before our last game. So he's aware, and he understands what's at stake, and he understands what he was brought here to help us accomplish and to help himself accomplish. And so we need to meet our team goals. We need to help him meet his personal goals, and all those things are still on the table over the coming month and the coming weeks. And so everything that we came here for and everything that he came here for is certainly still on the table. And now we just got to finish strong. And he's shown that he's been able to do that. We're not asking him to do something that he's never done. He's shown over and over again that this is something that he's capable of, something that he's very good at. And we just need him to continue down that path and finish this off the same way he has many other seasons.
Well, I remember vividly, and it was a beautiful moment. It was caught, I believe, by our CBS March Madness Confidential crew here last year during the NCAA tournament. Your final locker room speech after you lost in the NCAA tournament, McNeese to Purdue. And one of the players that was along for that ride was Quadir Copeland, who's now with you at NC State. It's a very special bond between a player and a coach in this climate if they're with each other at 2 different stops. What emotions are going through your body and mind right now, knowing that, again, over the next 4 to 6 weeks, this is it for you and Q?
Well, 80% of the time I'm disappointed. 20% of the time I'm happy we won't have to coach him anymore. But no, uh, most of the time I'm disappointed. But I mean, look, I try to cherish every moment with him. We were watching film yesterday, just me and him one on one, and so look, Q's really grown. I don't know if I've ever been as proud of a player and a person as I am of him. Just from where he was when we got him to where he is now. He's got incredible life ahead of him. He's got incredible basketball career ahead of him now. And so, I couldn't be more proud of him. He's made some significant changes in his life and in basketball, and that's hard to do. It's hard to do, and to see the progress that he's made, to see how far he's come, has certainly been just incredible for me. It's at your core, that's why you get into coaching. And so just very, very proud of him, and I'm going to cherish every moment that that I have with him. We got senior day coming up in a couple weeks. That'll certainly be emotional. I never knew if he'd make it out on the court to senior day, but just very, very proud of him and excited that he's with us at NC State, and excited that he's been able to cap off his career with a really, really solid season that'll position himself, for success moving forward, basketball wise.
You mentioned a couple of minutes ago about Matt Abel playing really well. I went over the numbers. When he hits double figures this year, NC State is 9-2. Aside from Matt Abel, who is a wild card here for the Wolfpack that could put this team over the top during the next month?
Arsenault. Arsenault's got incredible experience from Houston. He's really played well the last couple weeks. Look, he was coming off some injuries. He just had a lot going on, injury wise, and he just hasn't been able to get into the rhythm that maybe, certainly we hoped and he hoped when he came here. But he's still immensely talented. There's 2 or 3 plays a game, particularly from a defensive and athleticism standpoint, that he can make that nobody else on either team on the court can make, whether that's going to grab an offensive rebound or a defensive rebound or a deflection and a steal. Like, there's just certain things that he can do that other folks out there on the court, can't do. And so there's a ton of value in that. And I think that he's somebody that can play a really big role for us here down the stretch.
Well, we're talking about all the positive things right now that are associated with your team. The only negative thing is your next opponent, and that is Virginia on Tuesday night. And, Will, I'm always looking, under rocks and obviously like that this time of year to think about a team that's a power conference team that maybe isn't getting the same attention as a Duke or an Arizona, but could go far in the NCAA tournament. Virginia, to me, fits that criteria. As you prepare for Ryan Odom's squad on Tuesday night, what do you say?
Look, Virginia's a great team. They cleaned our clock at home at our place, and now we've got to go up there in one of the toughest environments in the ACC and one of the toughest environments in college basketball. And so it's going to be a huge challenge. I mean, their front line is huge. They're the only team in the country with 2 guys that block over 2 shots a game. And they've got Jakari White back, who's a big time shooter. He's really helped them against Florida State and against Miami. You could argue he won them the game. Very steady at point guard with Hall. They've got Thomas and Lewis, who can really, really score it, really, really shoot it. It's a very, very well put together team. Mallory, a freshman, comes off the bench, tremendous player. And so they've got a very, very well put together team. They've got great depth. They play really well together. They're physical. They're one of the best defensive teams in the country. And so that's why they got a chance. They defend and they offensive rebound. They're 3rd in the country in offensive rebounding rate. And they can really, really guard. So they're pretty much the opposite of us, which makes it an extremely tough matchup for us. And they, like I said, they beat the brakes off of us in the first game. Wasn't even close. And so hopefully we can go up there and play a little bit better and get a little bit better game. But I think you're spot on in terms of a team that's built for March with defense and rebounding, and particularly on the offensive rebounding. You're going to have games where you don't shoot it well. They can survive all those because of how well they guard and how well they offensive rebound. And so I think there's a long March run ahead of Virginia, and Coach Odom's done a great job. 1, putting the team together, right pieces, right parts, and then 2, coaching them and bringing them, bringing it together, the pieces and parts on paper, and making it look the right way that it needs to look on the court. So, really, really impressive job by them.
And Virginia, obviously, one part of an improved ACC, along with your team at NC State. And also want to give Jay Lucas credit for the great job he has done in his first year at Miami. Will, I'm fascinated in doing this now 20 years, how coaches always seem to hold on to their tough losses more so than cherishing their great wins. So you've been a head coach a long time right now. Give me one great win for Will Wade that he always holds near and dear to his heart? And I think I know the answer. And give me one tough loss that you always take with you.
Well, the win was certainly over Clemson
Yeah.
in the NCAA tournament. We talked about that. I mean, I don't know what will top that.
When you take NC State to the Final Four.
There we go. There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
The tough loss would be we lost to Oklahoma in the second round of the NCAA tournament at
I
VCU.
remember.
And it was when Oklahoma had Buddy Hield. They went to the Final Four.
I
We had
remember.
beaten Oregon State in the first round in a 7-10 game. We played Oklahoma in Oklahoma City,
Yep.
virtual road game. And we had some things go again. I mean, we had an and one, and we got called for a travel. Mo Alley Cox, tight end for the Colts now.
Yeah.
That one, man, I can remember the last 4 minutes of that game like it was. I mean, we had multiple chances to win that game, and the bracket had kind of opened up a little bit. Like you always wonder,
Yeah.
what if. You just always wonder what if. I can still remember plays in that game down the stretch, and so it was a brutal way to lose, and that's one that always will stick with me because that had gotten us to the to the Sweet 16. I think that would have taken VCU's program after the final. I just think it
Yeah.
could have expedited a lot of things. And look, VCU's got a tremendous program, and they're still winning, and they're second place in the A10 and on the bubble and all that sort of stuff. And we played them this year, and we got to go back up there next year, which will be a really really be a life altering trip, right, to the Siegel Center.
Yeah. I heard that
But
somewhere before.
but I always wonder what if on that game. I think a lot of things maybe would have turned out a little bit differently, and so that's one that always sticks with me.
And that Oregon State win, which you referenced, was the last NCAA tournament win for VCU, which was now 10 years ago in
Wow.
2016. Give me one recruit now that you desperately wanted and just missed out on, either as an assistant or a head coach.
Oh gosh, I don't. Trying to think. There's so many. We don't get them all. Everybody thinks you get them all. You don't get them all.
We're going to bring in Tommy Amaker here in a sec. He's got a list from when you were an assistant at
Oh,
Harvard.
Coach Amaker remembers everybody you miss.
Yeah.
The ones you get, they're not good enough. You got to go get better. And the ones you missed were always better. So, um, you know, I, I'd go back. I go back to VCU. I mean, we missed on a kid, Andrew White,
Yeah.
and I think he would have taken our team and program to another level.
Yeah.
And missing on him was big because we didn't really have a backup. This was when he was transferring,
Yeah.
and so I think that was certainly a big miss. We missed when I was at LSU. We missed on Nafali Dante, big kid who was at Oregon,
Yep.
and that would have changed our team there. To have him and to have that big. So those guys stick out to me.
Yeah, again, we're thinking about all these things. What could have been? Andrew White, as some people might remember, went to Syracuse for a year, was transferring from Nebraska. That was pre-immediate eligibility. He was a grad transfer. Well, we've talked about a number of special things that have happened for you in March. You obviously went to the Final Four as an assistant at VCU last year. Really the great upset in the NCAA tournament when McNeese beat Clemson. For this NC State team, what has to happen over the next 3 or so weeks so that this team is playing at its apex when it plays its first NCAA tournament game and potentially beyond?
We've just got to stay connected. We got to stay together. I think now's the part in the season where sometimes the agendas can get in, and so we've got to really stay connected. Our guys have done a great job of that thus far. We just can't lose. We can't lose that connection. We got to double down on what we do really well. There's only so much we can fix the deficiencies. The deficiencies are what they are.
Yeah.
You get to the tournament, you win with what you do well. It's who can impose their will on what they do well. And so we've got to continue to shoot the ball well. Got to continue to work on our shooting, get a little bit better with our defense, get a little bit better with our rebounding. If we can get that a few percentage points, but our tickets to hit an extra 3 or 2 a game, and that's 3 to 6 points, and we're going to make up those points a lot quicker than we are getting an extra stop or grab. We got to grab an extra defensive rebound or two. We were much better defensive rebounding early in the year because our guards were rebounding down. We got to get back to that. If we can fix our defensive rebounding just a little bit, continue to shoot the ball well, we'll see what shakes out based on how the bracket goes.
Well, Will, it's going to be a lot of fun to cover. Appreciate a couple minutes. Know how busy you are. And as always, look forward to staying connected along the way.
Thanks so much. Go Pack.
You got it. That's NC State head coach Will Wade. I'm Jon Rothstein, and this is Inside College Basketball Now.